I want to build a house shaped like a pyramid, upside down. I want a 10-story tall building where people have to go down via water slide. For all these buildings, two words: mustard yellow. This probably doesn't match the plan. What plan, do you ask? Let's find out.
The second example we're covering is for planning. Our first example covered the budget. We discussed what is a budget and how it's an organizational tool. It's educated guessing. Money matters. Money really matters, which is why we should take a look at the budget, equity or no. We discussed questions to figure out how the process works, officially and unofficially, from start to end. We consider different ways to look at both revenues and expenditures. Finally, we emphasize the need to demystify the budget, to make it more approachable for ourselves and others in order to more confidently take a closer look and seek reforms. As we did with budgeting, starting with what it actually is, we'll do the same for planning. Planning is what is and is not allowed officially, what in actual practice is and is not built, and how, when, and where it is. Let's take a step back and get our heads around this. We make rules on who can build what and where. Makes sense, right? Don't want an industrial plant next to an organic farm. Don't want the sewage plant next to the elementary school, right? And of course, what actually does end up getting built is a different matter than what's in the rules. Maybe any commercial building can be put in a lot, so which business actually did go there? Same with homes. How big, how expensive, and what sort of style are said homes within the allowed requirements? And how is it different across the jurisdiction? Knowing a community's character can change in big and small ways, block by block. In other words, when we say we're planning, when we talk about a plan or plans, it's about our community. What is the character of our community? How much green space do we demand from new development? How dense do we wish to be? To what extent do we plan for tourism to bring up revenues, and how much do we carve space for industrial areas to help pay for services? Even colors. Do we wish for bright, vibrant buildings? Subdued beige? Do we wish for modern looks, or to adhere to historical aesthetics? How much do we even care if it all looks similar? How much do we want to give freedom to builders, investors, residents to just build what they want, how they want it? When it comes to equity, what's the plan? Are we making a community where current residents, all of the current residents, can thrive, can feel they belong, that they are seen? How about welcoming in new people? What will they find for themselves? These are deep questions, and know that just as with the budget, we have people answering these questions every day as well. May as well see if we can add our voice into the mix. When it comes to planning, we look at the rules. First, who made the rules? We're talking local history. More infamous historical examples in our larger cities include redlining and segregated neighborhoods. Even communities built after these were made illegal can be illuminating, from being a destination outside the city or tied to a certain business or industry. We can dig deeper. We can figure out who the rules were made for, who they were made on behalf of. Families, the middle class, locals, new development, businesses. Often the rationale is written along with the rules. In planning, there are exceptions. Normally this can be seen through variances, that is, a process to see if development can be implemented in one or more ways that don't stand up to code, as well as grandfathering buildings that existed before the current rules were implemented. And of course, rules get broken, which leads us to how strongly the rules are enforced. To who? Would our local government stop a major business venture because the landscape is 1.5 feet too short? Are there some neighborhoods that we keep a closer eye on than others? Is it a live and let live unless someone complains? And of course, how can the rules be changed? All local government rules can be changed. Sometimes it takes revising the charter itself. Maybe it even means state legislation. In many cases, changes can be done internally. How? We ask these questions and more as the rules are how we can provide accountability in some areas and relief in others. But why? All that about rules sounds like it could be a hassle, and it likely is. Well, there's stakes. Safety, better roads, walkable sidewalks, proximity to emergency services. Affordability, can people own? Can they rent? Transportation, what is the expected commute between residents and their jobs? To the nearest grocery store, to a good park. It's also about dignity. If someone looks at the public amenities near and around them, does it tell a story that they are important, that they matter? Or does it tell a story that their neighborhood isn't on the list of priority projects, hasn't been for a long time, and won't be for the foreseeable future? Access to what kinds of businesses, services, and other opportunities that are out there. Its overall quality of life. What can we do today? Well, just as we can look to demystify the budget, make it more understandable and approachable, for planning we can start by aiming for what is right. The intention to do wrong exists. Planning is used to deny good schools, places of worship, overburdens lower income areas with a higher density of air pollution and other hazards. We start by aiming for right, that maybe, just maybe, we do our small part to challenge our organizations when we're heading in a problematic direction. To stay neutral does not mean we don't choose a path. It means we're letting someone else pick us up and carry us one direction or another. And not to be overly dramatic, but if the path we take is burdening people, is decreasing people's quality of life, that turns us into the antagonists, the villains. I mean, how many feel-good family movies are about the mean, rich people trying to drive out the nice but struggling families from their very homes? Those movies, shows, books we grew up with, it's about planning. So let's be on the right side of history. Let's be on the right side of the story. For the optional exercise, we look at the community character. This one doesn't have to be a research project. Just ask people's initial knee-jerk reaction. The city, town, or county of X is what? For young families and early retirees, a place for recreation, business-friendly. These initial responses can be our compass to see if our rules, our decisions, our actions match or not, and what are the equity implications. Up next, our third example, clerks and civics.